Hey everybody, it's Jackson Foster here with Plantriotic.com. I am here with the infamous, the one and only Robert Cheeke. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so how do you feel as someone who is such a pioneer of the vegan bodybuilding community to be a part of the Plantbuilt team and see a team like this that is really new?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's awesome. I mean, going back to the beginning of vegan bodybuilding, honestly, there was an audience of one. You know, I didn't know anyone else doing it. Created a website. Shortly after that, found out about one or two other people doing it, and the website turned into a popular resource over time. And we started connecting. Online. We started connecting even before the social media sites, and to see the community grow to where it is now. Besides just Plantbuilt, there's a lot of other vegan athletes here.
So let's take it back a little bit. How long have you been vegan, and when did you start bodybuilding in relative to your dietary change?
Became vegan December 8th, 1995. So going on, almost 20 years now.
Wow.
A teenager in high school, and I was about 120 pounds at the time. And I got up to about 200 pounds maybe 7 years later. So really, I was an athlete of...
On a 100% vegan diet.
Yeah. And I was always skinny, always small, even when I ran college cross country at 155 pounds. And, I was always a really good endurance athlete, but I decided I was really interested in getting bigger and stronger. That's what I just hope to do someday.
Right.
And I wanted to get into pro wrestling maybe. I started discovering bodybuilding and wanted to pursue that, see what might happen. And in 10 months, gained about 28 pounds. And, another 10 pounds after that, and entered competitions and had some success and enjoyed the experience.
So do you see there being a future in bodybuilding, being a vegan athlete, even outside of vegan activism?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what we're going to see is so many of us now realize what we often thought to be true, that plant-based whole foods, fruits, vegetables, nuts, grains, seeds, were the best foods for us. And of course the compassion and animal rights component is becoming more prevalent. People are just starting to really become awakened to that. And when you have that, and that kind of awakening, plus the fact that we now know that plant-based whole foods are the healthiest things possible to provide us with the best energy, the best recovery material, the best endurance,
least impactful on climate change and the environmental issues.
Right,
as well.
but even just the return on investment, nutritionally and health-wise, we're starting to recognize that's the way to go. So we're getting people in mainstream bodybuilding and mainstream athletics all over the world wanting to adopt a vegan lifestyle.
Right, so it's not even about I want to save the animals, I want to save the environment. It's I want to be a bodybuilder. I need to put the greatest foods possible in my body to recover quicker, to build muscle, and so this is what I'm going to do.
Well, the thing is, it's both. The great thing is that it's both. There's a ton of people who want to contribute to the world in a great way.
Right.
And a compassionate vegan lifestyle does that. But for all those that actually don't really care about that, they're kind of stuck, because if they really want to excel in athletics, this is the new thing. Plant-based diet, vegan lifestyle is the new thing if you want to excel in athletics. And we're showing that on a regular basis. So even those who don't necessarily have the compassionate soft spot for animals, they're saying, well, I got to do this vegan thing to be really competitive.
So what personally got you to try a vegan diet or adopt a vegan diet when you were a teenager?
My older sister, Tanya, she organized an animal rights week at my high school. I was in 4-H raising animals for food and to sell at the auction. And I grew up on a farm, and so I was very familiar with lots of farm animals. And part of my job through 4-H was to raise them, get to know them, first name basis, and then sell them at the auction. That money I would get that money, get to keep it, and do whatever I want with it. And so one time my sister actually bought chickens back, her same chickens she raised at the auction, bought them back.
She had a connection to them.
And that was pretty powerful. And not only that, she organized an entire animal rights week at our high school in an agriculture town in Oregon. And with that came speakers to give presentations about all types of different issues within animal agriculture and veganism and ethics and all that. And we had videos of factory farming and animal testing, literature, and people to talk to.
Wow.
And it was on that day I decided, just for a week or so, I'll be vegetarian in honor of my sister. And I became vegan that week, and it's been 20 years now.
So do you think if we started implementing just purely the facts about animal agriculture and about factory farming into schools, do you think that's a smart way about educating kids growing up?
Yeah, you have to have exposure to something. You have to have information to make any kind of change, any kind of decision, really. any thought, really a really conscious thought has to be based on experience, information, or some sort of influence. From like I couldn't crave bacon, if I never had it before.
Right.
Like I wouldn't know what bacon or milk, or well, of course milk, maybe mother's milk, but I wouldn't know what cow's milk or what bacon or what eggs. I wouldn't know what these things taste like or are like. I couldn't possibly have an interest in them. Just like I have no interest in fencing with a sword. I've never been exposed to that, or experienced that.
So if you're never exposed to sort of the cruelty with animal agriculture and also the negative health effects that most people don't learn. They learn about a balanced diet rather than a balanced plant-based diet.
Yeah.
If they learn those things at a younger age, then maybe we'd be able to make more conscious decisions later on.
Absolutely. The sooner you get information, helpful information, the more critical thinking you can do.
So it's really just about transparency and education.
Yeah, well, and I mean, partly it's kind of a slippery slope or a touchy topic, but it comes with parenting too.
Yeah.
I mean, we're responsible for the sustainability of the planet. We're responsible for the health of our family. We're responsible to those we're stewards of, or those we're parents of. I mean, this is actually quite a serious thing, because we have just overwhelming levels of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, all these things in young people.
Yeah.
In young people, and this is
the first time in history.
And this is a result of children being fed these types of foods and fed information that this is what dinner is, this is what lunch is, this is what breakfast is, and often without a real balanced approach of what real food really is.
So speaking of food, what is a typical Robert Cheeke lunch, let's say? Post-workout lunch.
Post-workout lunch. Here are my staples. Yams, potatoes, beans, lentils, brown rice, quinoa, greens, and fruit. I'm really a whole foods guy these days. I've gone through every type of vegan diet you can imagine.
Yeah.
Tons of processed food, 7 bars in a day, protein drinks, the whole thing.
But now you just got back to the basics.
Yeah, I went back to the basics because it made sense.
And also the foods that you mentioned, you're not eating goji berries and coconut water all day. These are cheap,
these are foods everybody should have access to.
That have access all over the world and country.
Breakfast, oats, fruit, water, green smoothie if I want, if I feel like having a blender or whatever. If I don't have access to a blender, who cares? Have the whole fruit instead.
Yeah.
So, and here's the thing. You can't just have bananas, oranges, and apples. Right. Sometimes I have 19 different types of fruit at my house. I mean, diversity is key. You can't say, you know what, I tried being vegan, it didn't work for me. I only ate the same few foods. Well, that's nothing to do with veganism. In fact, if you look at it objectively, there's only about 4 or 5 types of meat that we eat. So really, as humans. So if you're looking at an animal-based diet, you really have like 4 options for your staple items.
You can actually make way more eclectic food
Absolutely.
diversity in a plant-based
There's
diet.
so much more variety, diversity, abundance, and that is where, in plant foods are where you get fiber, where you get the majority of antioxidants, 64 times more antioxidants than animal products on average. That's where you avoid consuming dietary cholesterol. That's where you get hydration from food. That's where you get a balanced nutritional profile. It's where you get healthy omega-3 essential fats. It's where you get a nice balanced macronutrient breakdown of protein, carbohydrates, and fats that don't actually make people fat, that actually help with great energy and endurance. These are in natural whole foods. Now, if you're talking breads and pasta and pizza and all this, even at the vegan level, it's not really a healthy way to go.
Right.
It's certainly a compassionate way to go.
And it's better than eating animal-based foods.
Sure, absolutely. But what I'm really a fan of is, listen, let's go back to the basics and eat real food.
And get as much bang for our buck as we possibly can, and that's in living whole foods. Absolutely.
And you have to look at things like green vegetables, salad greens of 100 calories per pound, vegetables 200 calories per pound, fruits 300 calories per pound.
So if you're used to a standard diet, it's not like just taking out the meat portion. You have to live in abundance of a high quantity of plant-based foods.
Precisely because a lot of those foods I mentioned are very low calories per pound. Compare that with ice cream and cheese and whatever.
A little bit, and it's
3,000 calories per pound, or 1,700. Or potatoes are 500 calories per pound. In the form of chips or French fries, 2,500, 5-fold because of the oil, which is 4,000 calories per pound. So we have to actually make really conscious decisions too, because I think there's no better way to represent anything than to be a positive, happy, healthy, and fit role model. If I'm trying to model underwear, or if I'm trying to represent veganism, or if I'm trying to, you know, get people to get interested in anything, you know, you have to be a positive role model that's healthy, that's happy, that's fit. That's what people are drawn to. And it just so happens that this diet and lifestyle lead to those things.
So what are some of the best reactions people get when they see you and they find out that you're vegan?
Well, there's been a lot of theirs. You know, I've been up to like 200 pounds, you know, competitive bodybuilder, winning competitions. And so it's kind of like, oh man, you know, I lost to that guy who doesn't eat any animal products, and I eat like 6 animal-based meals a day, and, you know, this guy only eats plants and he beat me. Or people will say, oh, you know, must be on steroids, or this guy was already 200 pounds. They don't know that I was like barely 100 pounds when I became vegan. They say, oh, this guy must have built all this muscle, all on eggs, milk.
And if they did the research and read your book, I mean, you started at what,
120 pounds.
120 pounds, and you got up to 200 pounds. 100% plant-based. So what is your last bit of advice that you would give to a young person that's looking to get into bodybuilding, to get healthy, to get in shape, who's maybe nervous about adopting the vegan lifestyle? What are some of the steps that they should take to get into it?
The most important thing to understand is understanding what nutrition is. You know, people say, where do you get your protein? And, you know, how can you possibly get enough protein? Or all these questions surrounding protein. 99% of the people asking that question have no idea what protein is, the role that it plays, how much we need, all that.
And that it's found in abundance in plant-based food.
Absolutely, and that 97% of us or something like that get too much protein, including most vegans, vegetarians.
It's a building block to chronic disease in the animal-based form.
Yeah, absolutely. So the best advice I can have is understand what real nutrition is. And if you are consistent, if you are transparent about your exercises and your nutrition program, that will lead to accountability, and that leads to results and success. That is the formula. We can't say, you know, I'm vegan, I eat salads all the time, and only eat them once a week. We have to be really accountable and transparent. And we have to eat a diversity of foods, not the same 10 foods every day that most people eat. So, and same with exercise. We can't say, I had a great workout today. What about yesterday? What about the day before? What about the day before? If we're consistent with...
It's a lifestyle. It's not a diet. It's not an experiment. It's how you embody every day.
It's making the most of 1,440 minutes each day that we have to be our best, and the food and exercise support that.
So my best advice is to check out veganbodybuildingandfitness.com, check out plantriotic.com. There's a variety of resources if you want to be a doctor, a scientist, nutritionist, bodybuilder, athlete. It can all be it on the plant-based vegan lifestyle. Robert, thank you so much.
You bet. Thanks, Jackson. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. All the best.
Go vegan.